welcome to Realty Talk from the Sofa. My name is Ingrid Fisher. I am your host. I am also a licensed realtor in the state of Rhode Island and in Massachusetts. Today we have Al Robinson with us from Lapointe Insurance Agency. Welcome.
Hi Ingrid, great to be here, thank you.
Al, can you tell us a little bit about your role at Lapointe?
Sure, yeah. So again, I'm Al Robinson at Lapointe Insurance Agency, located in beautiful Fall River, Massachusetts. I'm an account executive there, so really it's my job to help clients get the right type of insurance policy that they need. We do specialize in home insurance, but I also write auto policies, motorcycles. We do life insurance as well too. So wear many hats, and yeah, again, at the end of the day, it's really just about making sure the client has the right policy for themselves.
Okay. So can you tell us what a home insurance policy looks like? Maybe just the basic, what it covers and what it doesn't cover.
Yeah, great question. So a home insurance policy really should be all encompassing, really to help protect the client if they have a claim. So the first piece on the policy is going to be the home itself, or the dwelling. That's the term that we use in our industry. And that's, again, the physical home that is there, the structure itself. The policy should have coverage for other structures built into it. So again, anything detached from the home, so fences, sheds, detached garages, pools, things like that, because they can be damaged during a claim. And people kind of forget about those things too when they buy a home. Your personal property should be covered as well, so things inside the home. So I always use the example, if you cut the roof off your house, right? Dump it upside down. All the stuff that falls out there is considered personal property. Keep in mind, higher end items, so jewelry, watches, antiques, memorabilia, those things do need to be endorsed separately. So if they're higher than $2,500 to $1,000, you want to have those things added separately. So just kind of keep that in mind as well too.
Okay.
Loss of use is a big one. So loss of use is if your home is involved in a claim where you can't physically live there. So for example, you have a fire in your home and there's smoke damage, soot damage. Loss of use will pay for alternative living. So whether that be a hotel, an Airbnb, a rental house, the policy should be endorsed with coverage for that.
That's interesting. And is that for the life of, like, let's say the whole remodeling of your home?
Yeah.
Does it cover the whole thing?
So great question. It's really dependent on the carrier. So some companies will pay for the loss sustained, so whatever it costs to live there. So if it takes a month to get your home back to pre-claim condition, some carriers will pay for that full amount regardless of price. Other companies will have a percentage of your home's dwelling amount. So typically, depending on the size of your home and how big it is, that loss of use will be a piece of that dwelling amount. So it's really dependent on what company it is.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the last one's liability, right? So if somebody gets hurt inside your home, they slip and fall. Big part, that I think is also overlooked as well, because unfortunately lawsuits do happen in 2022. So there will be some liability also. There should be some liability in that policy as well. My best advice is, if you can't afford to increase that liability, so I typically will give clients $500,000 in liability. Ask your agent if you can get $1 million, because it's probably going to be like pennies a day to do that. And it's always good to have, a little extra layer of protection if you need it. So.
Oh, that's good. So what affects the rates, the home insurance rate?
Yeah, another great question. It's a loaded question because there's so much that goes into it. I guess, the first piece would be, you're a realtor, right? Location, right? So definitely where the home is located can affect the rate. If you have a home that's on the coast, a coastal home, pretty good chance that it could be a little bit more money as opposed to a home that's not on the coast, right? Size of the home is also another big thing, right? So, if your home is 1,200 square feet versus 6,000 square feet, that's gonna drive the premium. And what a lot of clients don't know or maybe have not been exposed to is an insurance score, right? So your insurance score is kind of like your credit score, but that follows you. So if you have filed claims, and you filed an abundance of claims, that can also affect the rate as well. And anything extra, right? So dogs, swimming pools, trampolines, wood stoves, koi ponds, things like that are always going to drive the rate because you have an associated risk with those things if they're on the property.
So you mentioned pets,
yeah.
And so I just want you to touch on that as well. is it a different policy when you have, let's say, a pit bull?
Yeah.
You know, and is it anything that people need to worry about? I know a lot of people probably don't want to say they own these types of
Right.
dogs when they own a home, but it's important to have the coverage. And is it that much more expensive where they shouldn't even mention it?
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, it is definitely important. You know, the last thing you want to do is have you know, your puppy, your pet bite somebody. Does it happen all the time? No, but if it does happen, you want to have the right type of coverage, right? So yeah, typically, you know, most dogs with most companies are not an issue. Sometimes there's not even a cost affiliated with the dog, depending on the breed. Yeah, the pit bulls, the Dobermans, the Rottweilers of the world, you know, there are some companies, you know, we would call that a standard market, right? So like a Progressive or Travelers, they may not want to take on that risk depending on the breed. But again, you know, as an agent, we have companies that will. So yeah, you know, it's not necessarily the dog itself that the company wants to take on. It's more so ensuring the home that the dog is in. Because if the dog does bite somebody, you should have a separate policy for that animal liability. You know, in your example, a pit bull, it shouldn't really be a lot of money as long as your dog has no bite history to do that. So yeah, I would say if you do have one of those breeds, first consult with your insurance agent. Make sure you let them know. And yeah, to your point, you know, to insure a home with that breed is not a lot more money. You know, as long as you have a pretty good insurance score and the dog has no bite history, it really shouldn't be a problem for most pets. You know, but you know, if there is an issue, just let your agent know that's really the best way to do it. You know, because you want to have the right coverage or something.
So I had a mixed breed dog years ago, and they considered him a pit.
Right.
But my insurance was probably a couple $100 more a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was pretty decent.
It's not a big jump. Yeah, it's not a big jump at all. You know, more so is like we were just talking about, you know, like when I talk to my clients and the question I ask is, do you have any dogs? You kind of get that awkward pause.
Yeah, yeah.
They're like, oh, yeah, I do. Okay, well, what's the breed? And you get another awkward pause, and it's like, oh, they're a pit bull. That's fine. You know, again, we have companies that will insure if you have a pit bull, not an issue. You know, it's more so just if there's a liability claim, you will probably want to get a second policy, animal liability, you know, if the dog does, God forbid, escape and bite somebody. You know, I tell my clients I don't discriminate against any dog breed. I love all dogs, you know.
Me too.
But yeah, you definitely want to be honest, because at the end of the day, you know, what would happen is if you told your agent or your insurer, hey, I don't have a dog, and they show up to inspect the home and they see a pit bull, yeah, like you could be at risk of either A, having your policy get canceled because that company may not want to associate with that breed, or if, you know, the dog bites somebody, you know, you might not have the right type of insurance, you know.
Right,
so it's something to keep in mind when you're, you know.
It's better to be safe than sorry.
For sure.
Yeah. So can you give us any tips on how to save?
Yeah, I mean, inflation is a real thing, right?
Yeah.
2022. So yeah, I mean, everything is going up, and insurance is no different. It's not greatly impacted, but yeah, rates have gone up a little bit. So the easiest way to do that, A, is without changing any coverage, right? So keeping the same coverage you have is looking at deductible options. So deductible is the amount of money that you spend up front first before your insurance kicks in. As you increase that deductible, your policy decreases. So like on my home, for example, I have a higher deductible. So I've saved some money on my policy every year. So, you know, if you have a $1,000 deductible or a $500 deductible, you may want to consider going with like a higher one, $2,500. Some companies offer a $5,000 deductible. That can save you some money without changing any coverage, right? That's the first thing. The B word, right? Bundling. Turn on a TV, you see every insurer talking about bundling. So yeah, definitely. I mean, that's a great way to do it as well. You know, if we have the client's home, yeah, let's see if we can write the auto policy, or they might have a motorcycle or a boat or another home, you know, so a multi-policy discount always helps for sure. And yeah, you know, just looking at things that can help make the home safer, right? So home security systems are a way to save some money on your policy. So like an ADT, if you have that, let your agent or your insurer know. Some companies offer a discount for things like that. On the auto side, you know, you have if you have driving classes, if you're taking driving classes, AAA will give a discount for some companies. So I would say ask your agent if there's any ways to save, and we'll always look for, again, it's our job to help you find the best rate and maximize the discounts for you.
Okay. So when it comes to market value or rebuild value, what's
Right.
the difference?
Yeah, it's a great question. It can be tough to understand. I think as a realtor, you get it, right? Because you're selling somebody a home for XYZ amount, but when the client gets their insurance policy and they see a different number, most times it's a lesser number, they're calling me up like, hey Al, I spent $450 on this home. Why do I only have $300,000 worth of coverage? So yeah, so market value is again what you've paid for that home, what the home has been appraised at. I think sometimes you call it the appraised value too, right? Rebuild value is simply what the home is worth to rebuild that home from the ground up. And what goes into that, right? So location does not go into rebuild value, so we'll start with that, right?
Okay.
So you may have a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom cottage on Narragansett Bay that is $1 million market value, but it might only be like 800 square feet, so the rebuild might only be 200,000, right? So you have to understand that location does not affect the home's rebuild value. It's simply, again, the size of that home multiplied typically by the cost of square footage to rebuild, and simple algorithm will tell you that the home's rebuild value. So and a little more goes into it than just that, but yeah, it's a big difference, right? It's not what you're paying for the home. It's essentially the cost to rebuild that home if you had to start from the ground up to rebuild it.
So for us agents, realtors, we get a lot of Zillow said my house is worth.
Estimate, right? Yeah.
So I always have to go into like detail
Yes.
because people are convinced that that's what their house is worth.
Right.
And
right.
it's not always the case.
Right,
you know?
and yeah, that's a great point. And to my point, it's the same exact thing. Like I get because we work with a lot of first-time home buyers, so the question is, my loan's $450. And it's like, all right, well, that's what you're paying for the home based on where the home's located. You have a waterfront lake view. Like insurers don't care about that, right? All they care about really is just the home's value. If I needed to take this home and rebuild it again from the ground up to get it back to its pre-claim condition, that's it.
Okay, so our last question
Sure.
is how can we avoid any claims? Like, what can you tell us?
Yeah, claims are ideally not avoidable, but I like to tell clients, always check in, right? So the first thing is, whenever you have a new home insurance policy issued, that insurer is going to go out to inspect the home. So, you just bought a new home, great, congratulations, you're in, you moved in, about a month or so after you move in. Very similar to a home inspection, the insurer will send somebody out to inspect that home. It won't be as in-depth, but they are going to look at the major systems in that home, right? So heating, plumbing, roofing, things like that. If there are things that need to be addressed, so if they see lifting shingles, cracked shingles, missing shingles, yeah, they're going to make you replace those things or repair them. Handrails are a big thing, right? So a lot of times we see homes that don't have the right handrails. So again, they're going to really help them avoid any risks, right? There are things you can do on your own to help that as well. So I just brought up, getting a centralized alarm system, right? So like an ADT. So at my house, we have ADT, we have Ring. Not only could you get a discount off your policy, but that's going to help you, potentially avoid a theft claim, right? Always checking, your systems, right? So heating systems, getting those things serviced yearly always helps, right? Plumbing, looking, if you have a finished basement, looking at pipes down there, making sure things look good. So it can be a lot as a first-time home buyer. You don't know these things, right? So just little things like that can help. I would probably say, and I know it's tough now in this market, but a home inspection for sure can definitely help, because that's going to point out any potential deficiencies. So if you see leaking pipes in the home, that down the road you may want to get those things addressed before it can be a bigger problem. But there are things, again, some companies offer automatic water shut-off, so if a pipe burst or leak, the water shuts off. So there are ways to help avoid those things.
Right.
I would say, again, if you're on the fence about filing a claim, reach out to your agent and talk it through, because there could be potential where you may not need to file a claim. You might have a small leak or a pipe that burst but didn't do much damage, so you might be able to get away with fixing the pipe, cleaning up the mess, and hopefully not have any substantial damage but not having to file a claim. So I always tell my clients, call me, let's talk about it, and walk me through it, and at that point let's come up with an idea together on if this is claim worthy or not claim worthy. And again, insurance is there if you need it, but there are times people just call claims in where they really didn't you need to, and we get the phone
Right.
call like, oh man, Al, I shouldn't have called in the claim. I could have just fixed it on my own. So yeah, call your agent if you have any questions on something.
That's pretty good. So I've had the same home insurance for so many years,
Good.
and I don't have an agent.
Okay.
Because it's been sold.
I know a guy.
So it was, oh, you know a guy. So here's the thing. It's been sold to different companies over the years, and I've had it for about 20 plus years.
Yep.
So I don't actually have one person that I can call and just ask any question to.
Yeah.
So it becomes a little difficult. You got to call the 800 number
Right.
and then, whatever.
Right.
But that's probably one of the benefits that I'm missing out on.
Yeah, I mean, I love talking to the best part of my job is talking to my clients, right, every day in and day out. We do a lot of real estate transactions, so one of the things that we hear is, when a lender or a realtor has to get an insurance binder, on the spot for a closing, they're calling ABC Insurer and they're getting a 1-800 number. Somebody has no idea what's going on, can't get a binder over. So dealing with an agent, especially our agency, we do a lot of real estate transactions, so we speak the language. So we know, if you have a closing on Friday and you're calling me on a Monday, we want to try to get that together to you by Tuesday. So you're not bugging me, your lender's not calling me, the client's not calling me. You can close, you have your binder, and it's a done deal. But more importantly, to my point I just brought up is, on the back end, if there are claims or you need to add something to your policy, I also want to be that first call as well too.
Right.
And you're not calling 1-800
Right.
insurer because
Like
you
I
might,
am.
because you might not get a timely response. Because at the end of the day, our industry can be time sensitive, especially with claims. So you want to make sure that you have the right communication levels open if those things were to happen. So,
I mean, I feel like because I don't really have a lot of issues with my home, and I'm not always calling.
Yeah.
So
that's a good problem to have.
Yeah. But I think that I still do need to probably consider having an agent, just because you made it so simple where I could call and ask a question as opposed to calling the 800 number, not knowing who I'm talking to, and just getting kind of lost in the shuffle there.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, there's two sides also. I mean, you could be missing out on discounts that you didn't know about as well.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. That happened to me with car insurance. And you do car insurance
We do,
as well.
Yes.
Okay, good to know. So you and I got to chat.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you very much for watching. This is it for today. Thank you for taking the time to be here today.
Absolutely.
I know
Thank
you
you
have a wonderful little one at home right
do.
now, and so it's kind of tough, but thank you anyway.
Absolutely.
If someone wanted to reach you and possibly get a rate or have any questions for you, how can they do that?
Yeah, so I actually have my own website, so it's lapointeins.com/insure-with-Al. I don't know if we can put it on the screen, but
We will.
Yeah, that's the best way to really get a quote from me. You can also reach out to us anytime, 401-632-5325, or email me. It's arobinson@lapointeins.com. Yeah, I mean, typically I always buy my phone or my computer.
Yeah, we all are.
Yeah, but the best way, any of those platforms are the best way. You can follow us on Instagram, Lapointe Insurance. Yeah, and
They have a great feed on Instagram. They really do.
Thank
That's
you.
how I found them. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. Until next time, stay blessed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And if you have a comment, leave it below. Thank you for watching Realty Talk from the Sofa with me, Ingrid Fisher. Have a great one.